So welcome. I'm very happy to be here today. Very happy to see you all. I think it's so important that we are able to find like-minded people, able to connect and speak about these topics. So my name's Amanda Fidler. I'm a registered psychotherapist. I've been a therapist for over 15 years now. I own Checking In Counselling and Consulting in Fort Erie, Ontario. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to transition from a state of fight or flight to inner light. And we're going to do that by calming the body and the mind through spiritual self-regulation. Okay, so I want us to start by arriving. We'll just start with a couple deep cleansing breaths in. Hold. Exhale and release. Good. One more time. Deep inhale. Hold. And on the exhale, let go. Let go of yesterday. Let go of tomorrow. And just arriving here now. Take a moment to ground by feeling yourself in your chair, your feet on the ground. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath, the pulse of life flowing through you. And know that this is more than a breathing technique. The breath is spirit flowing through us. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about my personal story, my personal journey, both with spirituality and professionally. There we go. So I first was introduced to spirituality as a child, going to church, often forced to go to church. Some things I really liked about this, but specific religions didn't fit for me. I knew that there was something more out there. I knew that there was more than the physical world, but I wasn't sure how to connect to that. So it wasn't until in my 20s I decided, actually it was a family member had a terminal illness, which forced me to shift my perspective and explore different meanings, different explanations for purpose. So with that, I took a year sabbatical. I went to Thailand to complete my yoga instructor training. I meditated in retreats in Bali and spiritual temples in India. And most recently, I lived in First Nations communities throughout Canada. So, what I found was these experiences, I thought I was searching for fun and happiness. I was not. Eventually, I came to learn that what I really wanted was peace, and this peace was something that was internal. So eventually, most recently, my spiritual journey, I have discovered A Course in Miracles. This is a 365-day course on how to transition from a state of fear to a state of love. So, what is this inner light that I'm going to talk about today? Well, it's unfortunately not something that we can put into words. This is not a concept that's meant to be understood cognitively or meant to be analyzed. The inner light is an experience to be felt. And we feel this both spiritually and energetically. So we can try to define the inner light as our core self, our soul, our spirit, but it's the eternal essence of who we are. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the biology of anxiety before going into breath and presence. So we have the autonomic nervous system, and this is the part of the body that regulates our automatic responses. So that would be the breath, heartbeat, and digestion. So under the autonomic nervous system, there's two branches, actually there's three, but we're going to focus on the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, that's when we go into that state of fight or flight. That's when we feel anxiety, the racing heart, the sweatiness, the racing thoughts. This is survival mode. And many years ago, this was probably a lot more effective. We needed this response to survive, whether it was fighting off predators, we needed this to stay safe. And what happens in this state is that the blood leaves our core organs and goes to our larger muscles so that we can fight or run away. I have used the storm picture to go with this survival state because it feels like our body's in that storm mode. So if we are able to use these tools to calm the nervous system, I call them like coping techniques, we can shift into the parasympathetic state. And in this state, we are calm, more relaxed, and able to think more clearly when the blood returns to the brain and the organs. So this is a state of restoration and digestion. This is what biology focuses on, is these two states, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic states of survival or restoration. I like to take this one step further with my clients, and I like to talk about being in a state where we can thrive. So this is when we reconnect to that inner light, when we reconnect to spirit. And this is represented by that full sunshine within us. Okay, so again, just knowing that the breath is more than physical. Breath is one of the quickest and easiest ways to transition from fight or flight to restoration and into thrive. So the breath, again, is spirit moving through us. And when we return to the breath, we can return to our inner light. Also, I want to talk about presence. So presence is extremely important because it can take us out of those fear loops. It takes us out of our previous conditioning and allows us to be present in the here and now. Presence is also the bridge between the body and the spirit. It's important to note, like Doris said, we are not able to be in a state of fight or flight and inner light in the same time. So that gives us a bit of power, a little bit of a choice. Okay, so I want to try a brief exercise here. Again, we're going to return to the breath. If you're comfortable, you can go ahead and close your eyes. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs. Hold, exhale, and release. Good. This time, inhale, filling your body and focusing on the palms of your hands. Good. Another deep breath. And without moving, without touching anything, without opening your eyes, how do you know that your hands are still there? How do you know that your hands are attached to your body? You can feel them. And this subtle energy that you feel is connecting to your inner light. Take a moment now to allow this energy to expand throughout your body, radiating outward and connecting to the entire room. This is a moment to fully experience the awareness of inner light. Good, okay. So next I want to talk about awareness of the ego. So from a spiritual perspective, the ego is the idea of separateness. It's our false self. It's believing that we are separate from everyone and everything, including spirit. It's our roles, our false roles, the false stories that we've told ourselves, judgment, and it thrives on comparison, control, and fear. So when we see the world through this ego lens, we're caught in fear, separation, and the false self. When we're able to see through the ego, because that's what we want. We don't want to fight it, we don't want to kill it, we don't want to get rid of it. It's a set of beliefs. So what we want to do is to be present in order to see through it. Eventually, we can, through that, move into awareness, presence, and noticing, which gives us a choice. If we want to go one step further, we reconnect, and we use some of these tools and techniques, including the breath and presence, to connect to love and that inner light. So ego is like the clouds in our last diagram that block the sun or the shine of our inner light. It's always there. The inner light is always there. It's just blocked by different illusions. And when you think of breath, think of it like you're blowing the clouds out. You're releasing these illusions. So I love this quote by Wayne Dyer. He describes ego as edging God out. So it's cutting spirituality out of our life. I should note that to me, spirituality is a belief in something greater than the physical world. So we want to have this shift. We want to shift into awareness, and through awareness, we can notice the ego as well as other beliefs, and this allows us to loosen the grip of that thought system and to shift it. So as a psychotherapist, cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the main modalities that we use, and this is the process of becoming more aware of our thoughts and shifting them. So let's try a little CBT exercise together. I want to relate this to your own life. Imagine waking up in the morning and seeing the world through these two very different lenses. First, we'll imagine seeing the world through the lens of the ego. You wake up, your mind is already racing. You're behind, I'm not enough, there's too much to do. You reach for your phone, you start scrolling, the comparison starts, it's just this loop. Before you know it, your feet touch the ground, the day already feels so heavy, so overwhelming. So through this ego lens, life feels like it's a struggle. The world feels separate and unsafe, and from here, our day will just continue to spiral. Now, if we shift to the lens of the inner light and love, we wake up, you open your eyes, you take a deep breath, you notice the sunlight coming in through the windows, the quiet stillness of the room. You feel grateful for your breath, for life, for this moment. So through this lens, the same day, same bed, same room, but you feel connected, inspired, ready for the day, and you carry this unshakable sense of peace. So two very different experiences, and the only thing that we changed was the belief system, the lens that we were seeing the world through. And here's the beautiful truth. We do have a choice, and we choose by taking a moment to pause, check in, ask yourself, what lens am I seeing the world through? And if needed, choose again. So one of the easiest ways is to check in through your emotions. This is a solid signal of what state we're in. Checking in is not about judging yourself. It's simply pausing and asking, what's my state? Do I want to change it? Now, how do we shift that? Well, that's a longer story, but it's by shifting the perspective. If we can shift to, through this example, letting go of the belief that I'm separate and knowing that I am one with everyone, with spirit, we're able to let go of control. We're able to trust more. So every day, with every breath, we have an opportunity to check in, to listen, and to reconnect with spirit. Okay, so this is a really important piece. Healing the wounds of trauma, and specifically childhood trauma. So I believe that we're born, we're a clean slate, we come into this world, we're perfect, but it's not until we go through traumatic or difficult experiences that we are conditioned to see the world differently. Trauma installs a fear-based lens. It's like wearing sunglasses where you see the dark through the world. You see through a lens of fear. Throughout life, our trauma will show up again and again until we're able to pause and give ourselves the time to heal it. So, inner child wounds, a lot of us have this younger inner child. We all have an inner child, but some of us carry these unmet needs or burdens. The only way to heal these burdens is to take the time to be present with that child, these memories, acknowledge what we went through, allow ourselves to feel the emotion of that in order to heal, and then eventually we will move into acceptance. So I'll tell you a brief story about my own experience with childhood trauma. It actually involves public speaking. I was probably 11 years old, and our whole class was told we had to enter this competition. We were the youngest grade. I can still recall the library perfectly. It was a teacher who I'd never had as my own teacher. He was running the competition, and he became quite angry with the group, screaming at everyone to shut up and get ready for our presentations. So we're already triggered into this fight or flight state, and he called my name to be the first person to come up and speak. Well, needless to say, I was not feeling very good about that. I got up to the front, I started to cry, I ran out of the room. From that point, at 11 years old, I was already conditioned to see speaking in front of people as dangerous. Anxiety was out of control for many years. It wasn't until my 20s that I decided to push myself to have some exposure, and I became a suicide intervention training facilitator. This did not go well. I did not process or heal my inner child, pushed myself. I was so anxious, the presentations did not go well. Eventually, thankfully, I learned that by taking the time to heal that child, allow myself, I did this through internal family systems, parts work. I sat with that child, allowed her to explain how she was feeling, and comforted her to unburden and reintegrate. So I think we often, our society, our culture often underestimates the importance of these experiences, the importance of this very powerful work. So internal family systems, I briefly spoke about that. This is parts work. It's all based on this belief that we have a core self, or as I call it, the inner light, and the belief that this is never damaged by trauma. We just have parts of us that break off, and it's our job as healers to help to reintegrate them. Richard Schwartz, he's the developer of internal family systems. I love this quote. "The self is the core essence of who you are and connects us to the divine." Now, when you think of the world or life like that, there's so much peace. There's so much just to have that connection. It takes away the burden of having to do everything right, of having to be perfect, because it's a reminder that we are not our bodies. We are spirit. We are that inner light. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about somatic responses. If we don't take the time to heal this trauma, it can be stored in the body. Lots of different ways that we can work with that, but ways that we naturally do it through the body is through crying, shaking, sometimes if we go into rocking or tapping. These are the body's way of processing and naturally healing. So, my clients often, I joke with my clients about they think I'm cruel, but when they come into sessions and they're crying a lot, they feel embarrassed, but I say it's good. I love it. I love when you come here. I love when you cry. Often I love when I hear that they're having a shift in nightmares. This just means that it's starting to feel safe enough to allow that trauma to surface so we can process. Okay. Got a bit of a delay here. So I want to talk about acceptance and forgiveness next. There we go. So acceptance is the ability to let go of control and trusting more in spirit. Previously, I struggled with the idea of forgiveness, but after completing A Course in Miracles, which again is about transitioning from fear to love, the whole foundation of that is through forgiveness. I used to think that forgiveness was condoning or saying that the behavior was okay, and that's where I got stuck. But I now realize that it's about accepting that this person or situation is what it is, and I can't control that. I can't change it, so I'm going to do my best to accept it. Another important piece, but I'm also going to set boundaries. So in acceptance and commitment therapy, this is another tool we use in psychotherapy. This is recognizing that so many of us, especially in today's society, we go through life with our problems right in front of our face. So it's all the stressors, all the timelines. We're carrying that right in front of us. And it's really difficult to engage in the world when doing so. So through acceptance and forgiveness, we learn a different way of carrying that stress and carrying those burdens. One way of doing this is it's a technique called leaves on a stream, of just imagining these thoughts, these stressors, placing them in your mind on a leaf and watching them flow down the stream. We don't need to control them. It's okay if they get stuck on the bank. It's just noticing and a way of taking them out of the mind. So a key reminder here is that acceptance opens up space for peace and this inner light. I like the Buddhist saying that holding on to anger, holding on to resentment is like carrying a hot coal. You're the only one that's going to get burned, not the other person. So what we need to do is find these ways to accept, release, let it go. We'll wait on that. So next slide is about death, grief, and inner light. This is really important because both death and grief can strongly activate our fight or flight response. A lot of people go through life. I see a lot of clients who have this extreme fear of anxiety about death or that something's going to happen. When we live like this, we lose control. There's no room for peace. There's no room for trust and joy. So grief and loss can trigger stress, physical, emotional, even cognitive. And healing does not mean getting rid of these experiences or responses. Healing is about allowing the space to feel in order to heal. So many clients come in and say, I don't want to feel this anxiety, this grief, this trauma, I want to get rid of it. No, unfortunately, we can't heal what we don't feel. We have to give ourselves the presence, the time and space to be able to work through it, to process. I think another piece is to give ourselves grace, and we do that by connecting to this light. Something else of importance to note is that our belief systems, again, shape how we cope. I think this is especially important with grief. If we go through a major loss and we believe that the world is physical only, grief is going to be far more difficult. I see this all the time with clients, and I never want to push any beliefs on anyone or push religion. I just want us to be open to the idea of exploring the possibility of something greater than the physical world. Now clients who come in with any type of spiritual beliefs, whether it's any type of religion or just spirituality in general, believe that even though we've lost, say, a loved one, they live on through their spirit, through their soul, and they can see these signs, they can recognize that they're still with them, which obviously is a lot more helpful. Okay. Also, yeah, when we shift to believing that the world is just physical, if we lose someone, we believe we are our bodies. Where's the peace in that? Just thinking that they've disappeared. So healing does not mean getting over grief. It means giving yourself the space to feel and connect to what remains eternal. All right, next we're going to go into flow and surrender. How are we doing for time here? Whoops. Okay, so flow state. Has anyone heard of this flow state before? Yes, okay, good. So this flow state is when we are so involved in an activity that we just flow through it. It's like spirit is moving through us effortlessly. You hear about this a lot with music, with singing, dance, different forms of art, or when being in nature. And when we're so involved in these activities, we lose track of time, we get out of our head and into our body, into our heart, and connected to spirit. So that flow state, I think, is very similar to connecting to that inner light. Surrender. Surrender is also extremely important because this is letting go of control and trusting in spirit, handing it over. How much lighter would life be? So it's trust versus control, and there's so much freedom found in being able to let go. I also believe that when we're in the flow state that we are living through inspiration, and inspiration comes from the word in spirit. So again, it's getting out of the head, letting go of all the thoughts, just being present and trusting in that process, whatever you're doing. I'm trying to do that right now with this presentation. So some spiritual practices that can help us connect to this flow state or the inner light are meditation. This, I can't stress how important this is, how beneficial meditation is. It's getting into the practice and the routine of connecting to the now, being present, letting go of our thoughts. So I also have a YouTube channel where we do monthly full moon ceremonies and new moon rituals. This has been so fun and so helpful, but having to make these videos has forced me to do a lot more meditation, hypnotherapy, and when it becomes a routine, it becomes a part of our schedule, it just becomes a natural way of being, and you'll find you're a lot more peaceful. Okay, so spiritual, the meditation is huge. Breath work, we've talked a little bit about that. Pausing, just taking a moment to be present. And from here, we can connect to the message from that inner light, from spirit. Moon rituals and connecting to nature, as we heard from Doris, so important. Each of these practices is a doorway directly back to our inner light. I like to mention too, goosebumps. We've all had that sensation of getting the goosebumps. That used to be, still somewhat is, a response to anxiety. It's where the animals used to puff up their fur to look bigger and tough. But I think we've all also have the experience of goosebumps where something just feels so right, where it resonates. And I also believe that that is connecting to that inner light, a sign that there's something deeper happening, a sign that we're in tune with something greater. So when we learn to trust and surrender, we're able to flow through life like water, so much more peaceful. Okay, so we've talked about what it means to move from fight or flight to inner light, and now I want to have you experience that directly. So we've explored the breath, ego awareness, healing our inner wounds, our inner child, acceptance, forgiveness, and flow. And now I want to give you a chance to fully experience for yourself. So the practice that we're about to do is more than a meditation. It weaves together several therapeutic approaches, including internal family systems, this parts work, EMDR, CBT, cognitive therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, inner child healing, and emotional freedom technique, as well as hypnotherapy. I'm not going to hypnotize you, don't worry. So this journey is designed to help us shift from fight or flight directly into that inner light. And before we go into the meditation, I want to start by showing you a technique. This is a part of, emotional freedom technique, the tapping. So if you can just try to tap just under your collarbone, right to left, back and forth. Ooh. Breathing deep while tapping, good. This is a somatic exercise, and if at any point through the meditation you feel called to do so, it's going to help to release that trauma from the body. Okay. So before we begin, I guess I want to make sure that you're comfortable. This is going to be about a 15-minute meditation. If you're comfortable, I'd ask that you close your eyes. And we'll start by connecting to the breath again. Deep inhale in through the nose. Hold and exhale slowly out the mouth. Again, breathing deep inhale. Hold and exhale like you're blowing the clouds out, releasing. And if you feel called, you can start to tap. This is sending the message to your body. I am safe. I am here. I can let go. Each breath washes through your body like a wave, carrying away stress and worry. Now begin to scan your body gently from the crown of your head, down your face, and into your throat. Your chest and belly, allow them to expand on the inhale. The oxygen flows, your inner light glows, and on the exhale, releasing that tension. And just notice where your body holds this tension, where the alarm of fight or flight lingers. This is not wrong. This is your body's way of protecting you. Just notice with love and compassion as you send love. Continue to breathe deep as you imagine stepping into your inner sanctuary, a safe place that belongs to you. Perhaps this is a beautiful garden with a lush waterfall. Feel the sunlight shining on your body, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. Birds sing. Animals move peacefully around you, feeling connected and one with everything. Feel the calm energy of this space, and in this sanctuary, your nervous system remembers safety. Breathe in the frequency of peace and exhale into stillness. Across the sanctuary, you notice a doorway. You walk towards it slowly. Step through this door, and you find yourself in your childhood home. Take a moment to notice the colors of the walls before entering your childhood bedroom. Your younger self is waiting. Notice how old they are, what they're wearing, and look in their eyes as you sit with them. Allow them to share anything that they'd like to say as you listen with love. Be with them in whatever way feels right. When the moment feels right to you, let them know you are perfect. You are enough. You are beautiful. I'm sorry for any pain that you have carried. It was never your fault. You are not alone. I am here with you, and I love you. Hold their hand as you bring them back with you to your inner sanctuary. Keep them in the warmth of your inner light, where they will always be safe. Take a moment to notice this burden lifting from that inner child as you take a moment or two to say goodbye, promising to come back to visit soon. Now, notice any heavy memories, false judgments, and painful beliefs that you've carried. Imagine gathering them gently and placing them in a single dark balloon. This balloon holds the burdens that no longer belong to you. With compassion, you release the balloon. It floats higher and higher into the sky until it disappears. As it drifts away, feel yourself becoming lighter. In the space that it leaves, allow your beautiful memories to shine brightly, fueling this inner light and connection to spirit. Remember, your inner light is like the sun. Clouds may pass, clouds of judgment, fear, or old experiences, but they are never permanent. Each time you release them, the clouds dissolve and the brilliance of your inner light shines brighter between each and every cell in your body. This is your true self, always shining, always present. Notice as spirit whispers, you are safe. You are loved. You are this eternal light. Imagine this light radiating outward, filling your body, filling this room. touching you with love as your light joins with a light that connects us all. You are not separate. You never were. And from this moment forward, may you walk in light, choose love over fear, and rest in presence. Let's take one final deep breath in. Hold and exhale, releasing any remaining stress or tension. Gently begin to wiggle your fingers and toes as you slowly come back to the room. We'll take a moment to reintegrate, but just notice the shift. Are you feeling lighter? Maybe a little spacey right now? So that's the presentation that I have for today. I want to just take a moment to summarize some of the tools and techniques. I want to give you some solid tools that you can take home and practice in your daily life. So these include breath and awareness. Deep cleansing breaths, as we know, allow us to reset the nervous system, but can also help us reconnect to spirit. That's what the breath is. Meditation and mindfulness. So through these activities, we find presence. We can connect to nature. Ceremonies, attending retreats, sessions such as this today are so powerful. I think I have the next slide that has our YouTube channel if you want some of those meditations. Taking moments to pause and check in with yourself. So important. How am I feeling? What does my body need? My spirit, my mind. Somatic release, crying, allowing ourselves to cry. This is the release. This is how we heal. Movement, tapping, and then shifting our thoughts and our perspectives from fear to love. Rituals such as journaling, ceremonies, retreats, and then therapy. If you would like to work with a professional, this could be very effective as well. So the takeaway for today, I hope for all of you, is that your inner light is always here. We just need to release these clouds to remember. We are not our bodies or our roles. We are spirit, energy, and consciousness. We are eternal. Believing in this changes our state from fight or flight to inner light, from fear to love. May you carry this light with you in your days ahead. So that's my presentation. Thank you so much for being here. If you want more information, this is our website, Checking In Therapy. We have offices in Fort Erie and one in Crystal Beach. And that's the YouTube channel for any of those meditations. But thank you so much for being here. Wishing you love and light. Thank you.